The soldiers owed a lot to the inventors of tanks that could go along the ground and discharge the mines. They also owed a lot to the designers of the Allied planes, such as the P-47 Thunderbolt and the P-51 Mustang. These planes gave a tremendous support to the men on the ground.
America's newest fighter plane, the P-47 Thunderbolt, has left the drafting boards and is now in mass production. A four-blade propeller absorbs the terrific power of its motor. Thousands of rounds of ammunition are stored in its wings. Guns are tested on the ground. The test pilot climbs aboard, fits his oxygen mask, and he's ready for a flight. Wheels begin to fold almost before they leave the runway. Like flying bullets, they streak across the sky. Thunderbolts in name, they pack thunderbolts of firepower.
The arsenal that is Britain. These are some of the fighter pilots engaged in the greatest air battles the world has ever known. With shells and bullets, they are rewriting Hitler's history in the skies above Nazi Europe. Pilots of the U.S. 8th Air Force Fighter Command, they carry the sky war to the enemy by daylight. The thunder of thunderbolts carry them to battle. Theirs is a long-range mission. The extra belly tanks of fuel will carry them to the heart of Germany's war effort. Rendezvous in the clouds. Above the continent, they overtake American bombers and escort them to the target. The air offensive that is now reaching the Nazi war capital itself. Maneuvering at top speed, they engage the enemy's interceptors. Cameras synchronized to operate with the guns produce unparalleled battle films, unquestionable evidence of the toll American sky fighters are exacting from Goering's Air Force. As the bombers weave through anti-aircraft fire, Thunderbolts, Lightnings, Mustangs go after the enemy with all guns blazing. In desperation, Nazi fighters swarm up to protect their war plans. This is all a part of Allied strategy, to draw the enemy fighters aloft and destroy them one by one. These pictures show vividly German losses mounting day after day. The American fighter squadron wings its way back to Britain, having struck another blow in the Allied campaign to win complete mastery of the air. Every Nazi emblem indicates an enemy plane shot down in combat. These are some of the men who are fighting the greatest air battles in history, the men who are blasting the Nazis from the skies.
Finally, the German resistance was making a difference. They blocked the Allied advance. But the British attacked the Germans near Caen, and the Americans landed launches at Saint-Lô. Meanwhile, General George Patton broke through the western flank of the German line at Avranches, and the great Allied breakthrough in France was underway. At the base of the Cherbourg Peninsula, American tanks were advancing just as fast as they could move. Penetrating deep into enemy territory, they drove south from captured Braville, 135 kilometers south of Cherbourg. Thus, since D-Day, the Allies have occupied the whole of the Cherbourg Peninsula and expanded their beachhead farther east. Now there is elbow room to mass and move a superbly equipped army. Already, the forces were striking inland for the final crushing defeat of the Germans in the west and in the stiffly resisted British sector as well. Natural barriers and determined opposition were being overcome. But even at the height of battle, the Tommies were able to find rest and refreshments behind the lines. A relaxed soldier often got a front-line view of the ceaseless Allied air attacks. These planes made it impossible for the enemy to marshal reinforcements except under cover of darkness. By daylight, RAF heavies pounded the German Air Force equipment depot at Saint-Cyr, near Paris. The land and air cooperation was an old story of Allied strategy, but again, they would end up victorious. Within a few days of the breakthrough, the Allied armies spread out across the French countryside and moved west toward Brittany and east in the direction of Paris. 100,000 of Hitler's soldiers, under direct orders from Hitler himself not to retreat, surrendered on August 22nd near Falaise. The second landing of the Allies took place on the 15th of August, as the 7th Army under General Alexander Patch landed on the beaches of the French Riviera.
10 weeks after D-Day on the beaches of Normandy, with the Wehrmacht reeling back from swift Allied blows that struck in all directions in western France, a mighty new force, poised for a landing in southern France, assembles in the Mediterranean. Here at Naples, part of the vast armada of 1,000 warships, transports, and landing craft of all kinds is made ready. Massed for loading are thousands of trucks, tanks, mobile cannon, military vehicles, and equipment, stretching acre upon acre in the embarkation area. Troops move up to their ships under Mediterranean Commander Sir Henry Maitland Wilson and Expeditionary Leader Lieutenant General Alexander Patch. American, French, British, Greek, and Polish forces take part. The convoy is underway. Aboard the flagship is Secretary of the Navy Forrestal, accompanied by General Patch, French Admiral Lemonnier, and United States Vice Admiral Hewitt, Chief of the Invasion Fleet. The Allies planned to strike along 100 miles of the French coast, to cut off the great ports of Marseille and Toulon, and to join with Eisenhower's forces from the north. In the air, spearheading the operations, hundreds of transports carry paratroop forces, ready to drop from the sky to secure road junctions and bridges behind the Riviera